Hey, I'm about to show you how I made my life 10 times easier just by using systems. All right, so before I developed the systems, what I thought I needed was just more discipline and more motivation. But what I really needed were systems acting as barriers to the world around me. And I'm about to show you the exact systems I built, how I created them, why they work, and how you can start building a life that supports your brain instead of fighting it. All right, first thing, the barrier method is just the act of creating systems to put space between you and a stressful situation. Just like how this bottle has two layers to it, one on the outside and one on the inside to protect the temperature of what's inside the bottle. So basically, systems are acting as that second layer. But for me, no routine means I get excessive decision fatigue, and that just leads to emotional spirals of me not being able to do anything because I struggle with certain executive functions and sensory overload, like flexible thinking and organization. So tasks that seem simple to others are a little harder for me. So systems just help a ton with that because before I created these systems, I thought I needed more motivation, but that's actually not the case. I just needed less friction to complete or start certain actions. Next, I'm going to show you exactly how I systemized my life. All right, the first thing I did was I started with patterns and not goals. I found that it was a lot easier for me to create a path towards my goals instead of setting a goal and just trying my best to reach it. So instead of having to create a day around this giant to-do list of things that I needed to do, I already had a plan of how my day was going to go to ensure that everything that I needed to do would get done. So doing that for you could look like a bunch of different things, but I would try starting out with identifying good patterns that make up good days and identifying patterns that make up bad days. And I would write down what makes these days so good and just try to pick it apart and piece it into bite-sized chunks. And we can use those later. The next thing I did was I made those patterns visual because my brain doesn't hold to-do lists well, and I need to see structure for me to understand things. So I used programs like Notion Calendar to help me visualize my week, and I color-coded everything based on the tasks to help get an idea of how the day would feel. And this helped me by having everything here predetermined. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm not questioning of how I'm going to do this, that, and the other. It's already pre-decided. And while that may sound boring, I already have everything in here that I want to do. So it's not like I'm wanting for anything else. I already have it all here. And doing this can look very different for a ton of people. But what I recommend is just starting with the patterns that make good days and implementing them into your calendar. So something that happened with me is I used to go to the gym really late at night after work, even though I had to wake up really early for work the next day. So I took note of that, put it into my calendar, and noticed, hey, I can just go to the gym at a different time. And so I made that adjustment, and now a certain day is better. Building a calendar that works for you can look very different from someone else's. So I would recommend just starting out by noting those patterns and slowly implementing them into the calendar. Some other systems that help me are breaking down complex tasks into small, simple steps and then writing them down. So as an example, imagine that you're tasked with building a Lego set that you had just built. The only catch is you can't use the guidebook it comes with. It's impossible. It doesn't matter that you've already built it. You still need to know the steps because it's a long and complex process. Another thing that helps me is creating different environments or routines for different tasks. So if I'm writing, for example, I'll light an incense, and smelling that acts as a cue for my brain to start getting in writing mode. And it helps me just focus much faster than it would take for me to not light the incense and then just get straight to writing. Another thing that I do is I write down helpful thought patterns to refer to when things get overwhelming. So when I'm stressed or anxious over a normal situation, I have something to refer back to help calm me down and get back into a normal state. So imagine that someone's yelling in your face and it's way too loud. You're just going to cover your ears to help block out the noise. It's the same thing. The last thing I did was I improved my systems. My early versions were horrible, so I just kept improving them because when I first started, I didn't have any gaps in my calendar. So when something didn't go to plan, the whole calendar got thrown off. And I was just left running around trying to make it work. But it just didn't. And what didn't feel right got redesigned because the goal was support and not control. I didn't try to control every single aspect of my life, but rather just try to support myself in it. And if it helped me or simplified or made anything easier, I just kept it. All right, after around 3 months of doing this, this is what I've noticed. I don't spiral when something doesn't go to plan. I always fall back on my structure. So let's say I have to stay at work an extra hour. Instead of letting everything just fall apart, I can pick and prioritize what's important to me so I still get everything done that I need to. Because in the past, when something didn't go to plan in the day, everything else would just fall apart. And now I can work, rest, and socialize without the stress of constant decision making. So something that I noticed that my brain was just constantly trying to find the best outcome of a certain situation. And now I don't have to do that because everything's already set and I don't have to worry about it. And now I don't feel as if something's wrong with me anymore. I feel empowered by the systems I built and I'm able to get everything done that I want to. And I still have hard days, but now I have the confidence to face that unpredictability because I know that if anything goes wrong, I always have the option to pivot and change how the day goes instead of everything just falling apart. But before you go, I want to give you some tips that might save you from some problems that I ran into when I started this. Like, the goal isn't perfection, it's to build a predictable safety net, and you have to leave moments for life to get in the way because it tends to do that. And don't try to systemize everything all at once. Instead, take it step by step. Because at first it can feel a little overwhelming trying to kind of plan your entire life, but taking small steps helps a ton with that. All right, see ya.